changed. The public records are the same. The access to the public records has gotten much better. It's easier to get information. But you gotta understand what information you need and why you need it. And that's what the training process is all about. So, that's what we did. Now, we'll go back to basics. Number one, when you first started, the first thing I gave you was what we call the ROI form or the deal killer form. Do you have that with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so everybody else fails the test. Here's why, and we're gonna make copies of that, and we're gonna pass that around. Jerry, will you copy some of these for us? The idea of the deal killer form, okay, which is what we call it. You're either gonna make or break a deal based on the information on that form, and we can add two other things to that. And one is CDD fees, you can add that to it, and HOA fees, okay? Now, there's a couple lines on it about other information. Here's what I know about this business, and I learned this the hard way, okay? Everything I've learned, I learned the hard way. I did not have a mentor that would stand up here on a Saturday morning and teach me with 54 years experience. I had none of that. I did it the hard way. At that time, I was, got started young. I came out here on my 50th year. St. Augustine Record had interviewed me and wanted to know what kind of advice can you give to anybody to stay in the business this long. I said, well, thought about it for a minute, said, you got to start young, and you don't quit, and you don't die. So, and anybody can make it 50 years. Jerry, will you turn that air conditioner on a little bit?
What do you want, Jerry?
Turn the air conditioner on, please. So what we found out, it all came down to this one form. If you have the information, we can make a decision. And before we present anything to one of our investors, we are going to have the right information. So, daughter called me worried about this. Hello? I'm in my class, honey. All right, bye. Got a big family, so they'll get concerned about me. But anyway, if you can concise it and bring the information down to this form, you can do this business. And if you can't, it's scary, okay? Let me give you an example. I have people call me up all the time. What do you pay on a deal? You pay 70%? Can you buy it for 70%? Is that a good deal? Not for me. That's one you can keep. I don't want that one, okay? Why is that? If you're going to try to make X number of dollars, I mean, you ought to be able to make it, sell a house at $100,000 and you paid 70 for it, you ought to be able to make a profit. Maybe, maybe not, okay? We have a certain margin of profit that we work on. We don't want to expose our investors to anything that doesn't make sense, okay? And if it doesn't make sense, we're not going to do it. I had one of my guys come in the other day and slap a thing down on my desk, and 15 minutes later he came back and said, why don't you look at that deal? I said, because you didn't present it to me in the right form, in the right format, and consequently, that's no deal. You know, that's not a deal. But I don't understand. Well, you didn't come to the training, okay? So if you don't come to the training, you're not going to understand. And so, anyway, we started this years ago with my 4 children, and Faith Semino, who's going to be your teacher this morning, and I would venture to say that she's the very best in the country at what we're talking about. All right? She understands why we need the information. She's the detail person in our company. I'm certainly not. She's been an absolute blessing. She's been with me 35 to 40 years. All right? And during that time, she went from no computer to learning about the computer and how to do the analysis on these programs so that we can see exactly what we're doing. Guys, I don't want her over in the corner, okay? I need her to get out here where we can video a little bit. So you might have to move.
She's up moving.
But Faith learned how to do the research. She understands the whole program. We had a title company one time, and she ran the title company. So she learned an awful lot about it. But we're going to go through the basis of this business, and this is a step-by-step training. If you miss one, we're going to video it, but I'm not encouraging you to miss one because the interaction with the group is we're going to get full of people in certain areas. We're not going to duplicate the process over and over and over. We want you to have a territory, but we want you to work that territory. And if you don't work that territory, you don't have that territory, okay? Because we're trying to scale our business up, and to scale it up, we need people, and I thank you, every one of you, for being here this morning. Now, I think it's next weekend, I'll have to check the date, we're gonna have a bus tour.
Because it's 2 weeks.
Okay, we're gonna have a tour. We have multiple properties under process right now. Everything that we do is a process, okay? Nothing's quick, it's a process. You'll hear about flippers, which are people flipping contracts. That's not what we're doing. We can do that, but that's not what we're currently focused on. Right now, we're focused on what we call rehabbing. We're buyers, we're rehabbers, and we offer brand new mobile and modular and home and land packages. We did a non-scientific survey on Facebook a couple of years ago, and we determined that 65 to 75% of the people in Northeast Florida cannot afford a $200,000 house. That is a huge segment of the market. So being in marketing all my career, non-scientific career, was that you find the market and you fill it, okay? You don't have to create the market's already there. So you have to find the market and you have to fill it, all right? Guys, I can barely turn on the computer, but I can make a living with this phone on Facebook. I make a living with this phone, okay? I have an appointment this afternoon at 2 o'clock. I had another call yesterday that wants to build a modular on a house. I've never met either one of those people. I wouldn't know them if they came through the door. And so this thing is a valuable tool for what we do. I'm not promoting Facebook for anybody. I'm just telling you it works for me, and I'm able to bring copious people into our network, into our group. We've modeled ourselves out here, and we've rapidly becoming the go-to people, the go-to company for what we do. All right, and that's what we get. We get a lot of the profits that we buy, and so here's, you can write this down because this is the important number in all of this is $20,000. What does that mean? That means on the bottom right-hand corner of your ROI form, if that $20,000 is not there, we are not doing that deal, okay? All right? If that $20,000 net profit is not there, we're not doing that transaction. Does that mean we turn a lot of good deals down? Yes, we do. We have to, because at the bottom line is, if you're going to have an investor and you're going to share the profits, you have to show them, number one, that you know what you're doing, number one. Number two, that you're capable of doing it, and then your performance has to match your rhetoric. All right, so you're going to match that rhetoric with performance. So if you tell somebody you're going to do something, you got to do it. All right, and if you don't do it, then you have to prepare to eat it. In other words, if I tell an investor we're going to make this much money at the bottom line, and that bottom line is not there for that investor, who is going to take less? Okay, who's going to take less? Who's going to guarantee and warranty this as close as you can? I mean, you know, we're going to be fair is my point. That doesn't always work out exactly like we predict, and that's why I'm saying I don't work on percentages. I don't listen to, let me buy it for 60%, sell it for 100, I'm going to make 40%. No, you're not. No, you're not. So
Terry, it's net to you is the line we're looking at on this form. The three examples you gave us last time were 12,005, 7,009, 3,007. So none of these are good deals.
But yeah, the A deal is the deal we do because that's after we paid the investor.
So it's the subtotal I'm
Yep.
looking at. Okay, thank you.
All right, you got three deals here. What you have what we
Yes.
call an A lead, B lead, and C lead.
Okay.
What we did was we would learn how. Faith is going to share something with you today that's incredible, it's available, and it's wonderful. My three daughters would go to the courthouses and research foreclosures that were filed. Liz Pendens is a notice that there's been an action filed against that property. Okay, it's a notice. The foreclosure suit is a document. It's an actual document, which we're going to go over today. That will tell you exactly how much is owed on the property when the foreclosure was filed. It'll tell you. If the payment hadn't been made since then, that becomes the default. Then this is the amount that's owed. That's the principal amount, and maybe some accrued interest. Maybe it doesn't include it. So, but we're going to learn how to analyze these things. So when you take this this form and you put it live on your computer, every time you change one thing, it changes the bottom line. Everything you do to that changes the bottom line. It's a fun thing to do after you learn to do it, and you realize that it took us many, many years and a lot of heartache and a whole lot of loss before we could develop a system that works. And so I'm asking you guys to learn it correctly. Don't get greedy. Bring your deals here. Let's analyze them and let's see what we do to help make money. We need more investors. Some of you people might be your own investor, and that's fine. We have a program set up, right? Our program, we went and had a lawyer draw up a contract years ago between what we call the field partner, the investor, the company, and the real estate agent, right? So typically what happens is some of the investors won't do exactly what I'm saying. So we placate them as good as we can. Typically what we like to do is you find a deal, you bring it to us, and you're not a realtor. Read my lips. You cannot share in the real estate commission. You cannot, and we will not, ever, ever do it, all right? Just don't ask, because we're not going to do it. Now, the benefits of getting your real estate license and being a realtor is now you can participate in being a real estate agent, because now you're legal and legitimate, and we can do that. But what you can do as a citizen without that, we have two companies. One is Pacetti Realty Company, trading as Homestar Pacetti Realty. That's a real estate brokerage company. If you don't have a license, you can't share in the profits or losses of anything to do with that company. Then we have Pacetti Group, which is not a real estate brokerage company. It is a real estate investment company, all right? And so with that, you can become what we call a field partner. Does that mean you just throw something down on my desk and you've earned your money? That does not mean that, okay? Field partner has responsibilities to go along with it. We have to be able to depend on you in the field to follow up and work with that. At that point, all right, if you bring a lead to us, you become the field partner, you would earn, here's the minimum, you'd earn 15% of what the company gets, or hopefully 15% of the whole deal if our investor will approve that, and they don't always approve that. They're not all the same, okay, so they're individuals. So that's our system. So going in, you see how you can be compensated. I'm saying to you, you hear people say, oh, you don't want to get a real estate license, you have to disclose. Anybody that won't disclose, you don't want to deal with them anyway, okay? Anybody that's not, if they're going to be on the riding in the gray area, don't do it. We don't want that. Get your real estate license is my advice. That way we're going to get these B leads and C leads. We're not going to buy them, but it doesn't mean you can't list them. It doesn't mean they're not a good deal. It doesn't mean that you might not want one of them in your 10-10 plan. You may very well want one of them in your 10-10 plan. Do you follow me? It may not work to split profits with investors and pay all the closing costs and do all those things, but it might work very well for what you want to do. But we want the opportunity to make that decision here. We want you to come bring us that deal and let's take a look at it. And I mean, there's plenty of B leads that you can buy if you want to. And so, we're going to teach all that. And the whole part of the training is to get to the bottom line where you can take one of those, you can ride and find any property, you can look it up, you can scale it, you can figure out exactly what it costs to sell it. Your misnomer is always going to be the construction, okay? And this is where we stand to make the biggest mistake and have the biggest profit. We had 2 properties recently. We had to pay a guy to go back in and finish them after we'd already paid somebody to do it. Okay? So there goes your profit margin. Your profit margin shrinks rapidly. We got another one. We had 2 or 3 different contractors in there, and we learned our lesson. We teach it, and we've got to practice what you preach. Do not get people that aren't licensed and that aren't handyman. Don't do it, okay? Because there's nothing to go back on. There's nothing to hold them responsible for or with. Doesn't do it. Don't mean you can't get somebody to paint a wall for you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about if you're going to rehab something, you got to know what it costs. So now, that's the bare requirements that we deal with. Ethical, honest, upfront. If it's not, walk away from it. Don't touch it. Don't come here and tell me I got a kickback so-and-so, don't tell me any of that. If you do, you'll be out, okay? We just don't deal in that. Person that's unlicensed, they'll ask you, hey, they'll ask one of your agents, can you share that commission with me? And if I find out you do that, you won't work here. Yes, I'm just telling you, I've had my license for 54 years, and we're not going to start violating any rules or any regulations. And I don't want it to be any gray area between the field partner and the listing agent. It's two different roles, okay? Now, just so we understand all that to start with. So, we went and had Upchurch Law Firm draw up a contract 20 years ago. Contract says, and we're ultimately going to get one because we're going to use it on every deal that we do. The Faith is a past master at teaching you how to build a file. If you will build your files correctly and get the information that you need, we can sit down here and make a real decision, almost like sitting around the table like the board of directors, which, you know, we're not that formal, but just to tell you, and we can question back and forth each other to make sure that when we bring it to our investor, or one of them, we expect them to put the money up. We do not put the money up. I'm too old. We're past that. We don't do it. All right? And it's true. So that's we're past that. The investors put up all the money. They put up the money to buy the property. They put up the money to rehab the property. They put up all the money. We secure their position with either putting them into a land trust where they can be the trustee. We will not put anybody into a property that doesn't have the money to buy it and fix it. Here's what happened during the recession. We had people that we had properties that were halfway done. The market crashed. We got our rear ends handed to us on a platter. I'm never going to put anybody in that position again, including ourselves. Here's the bottom line. I learned something that's will serve us all well. And you can make a note of this. When the real estate market crashed in 2008 or whenever it was, and kept on crashing and kept on crashing and kept on crashing, people were losing their homes left and right. But there was one part of the real estate business that absolutely flourished, property management. The same house that was worth $100,000, now it's worth $75,000, now it's worth $60,000, now it may be $50,000. You couldn't sell it, maybe you owed more than that on it. And here you were stuck with a house that you could either walk on it or whatever you did, but the person that could take that house and had it paid for and could rent it out would make money, service that debt, and watch it market come roaring back, which it did, okay? If you can't hold it during the recession, you're going to lose it. And if you go into this understanding that, so if you put up the money, so we ask our investors, here's a safety valve for you, Mr. or Mrs. Safety valve is have the money to pay for it, okay? When it's paid for and it's rehabbed and it's a nice condition and you could rent it out, if the worst case scenario happened, if the market crashed or whatever happened, you're secure, all right? You're not going to lose your money. And you're going to make a fair return because of the rental. And so it's just a system. So the property management business flourished during the recession. The rest of it went to hell in a handbasket, and it took years for it to come back, okay, for it to find the bottom. We didn't ever think it was going to see the bottom. Frankly, you know, we all second-guessed the bottom. And us that were in the business actively, second-guessing the bottom was not a real smart thing to do because it kept going down. I had never in my life ever experienced such a thing. I've been through several recessions in my career. All of them end up the same. If you have the wherewithal to hang on, it'll come roaring back. If you don't have the wherewithal to hang on, you're going to lose your investment, okay? Chances are you're going to lose your investment. So I'm just giving you some safety valves in it and how elite I think our program is based on all that stuff I hear on television about getting rich quick, right? That is not our system. We do have a plan, and any of you that's got one of the books can hold it up. It's our 10-10 plan, 10-10-10 plan. The 10-10-10 plan is a book that we wrote, okay, and a program that we put together. From now on, don't come back to class without your book. Don't come back to class without your ROI form. Don't come out of sequence, okay? The classes are staged so that it's what it is. We designed it as a 40-hour training course. We actually taught it as a 20-week course, 2 hours a week. We don't have to do it that way, we can take it slower. I'm actually starting all y'all way ahead of that because of the time and the timing in my life and everything else. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make you aware that this is a program, it is a process. You can learn it and you can be very successful in it, and you can lose everything you have if you don't learn to do it right, all right? Don't take chances, don't fall in love with these properties. They're not your mate, all right? You don't get married to them, they're a commodity. They're a commodity just like everybody else. The guy next door selling beer and wine and whatever he sells over that store, and that's his commodity. Ours is real estate, all right? Now, here's, so the ROI form is the form. Now, it's hard to believe that we're going to take a whole course and talk about a lot of things, but it all concises down to that form. How about that? Okay? Now, our job is to teach you how to find these properties, analyze these properties, and come up with something that makes a lot of sense, that you can see this as a possibility for you and your future. Now, what we do is we teach this 10-10 plan. What does that mean? We teach you how to buy 10 houses, how to pay for them in 10 years, how to retire with $10,000 a month income. You can do 20, you can do 30, you can do 40, you can do 1. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm just showing you a plan that works. I went out to, one of my agents was gone on vacation, and he told me, he said, I've got this couple in there coming out to look at this riverfront property, and would you go show it for me while I'm gone? I said, sure. So I go out there, and when I get there, there's a couple of, it's just pouring down rain. So we're walking around with umbrellas and talking, and I asked them, I said, what are you doing? They said, we're retired. I said, what did y'all do? I said, well, I forgot what they told me. They said, but about 10 years ago, we started buying houses. He said, we now own 8 paid-for houses, and we're retired. He said, that extra income just set us up, you know. Now we can buy a riverfront lot. We can buy whatever we want to, and we live good. So here's what you can do. And I don't want to stress this as Terry's down there teaching everybody how to be a millionaire, but I am. Okay? If you want to be a millionaire, learn this program where you can fill that form out, and I'll show you how to become a millionaire. Okay? Here's how you do it. You got to buy 10 houses. No, here's the slogan: buy some, sell some. Buy some, keep some. The ones you sell will make you money, and the ones you keep will make you rich. How does that compute? How do you buy something and when you don't have any money? How are you going to pay for it in 10 years? And how are you going to retire with $10,000 a month income? Y'all, my guys, host of people, bring them in. Come in. This is more Pasetti's.
Sorry,
There's
Lee.
one chair right here.
There's one back here too.
Yeah, here,
They want
this
to
chair.
sit
Two of
together.
them.
Let
Two
them
of
sit
them.
together, guys.
Yeah, you can come right up.
You know,
Come on. Good. Come right.
guys, this is
Nah, you good.
Chad and Linda Pasetti.
Hey, Ben, Chad. Good to see you, man.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Well,
We didn't have to do that, we're together all the time.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're talking about it, and Jerry, if you'd get them a deal killer form, I'd appreciate it. And so, where we headed with this now is, the ball's in your court. You have to do your part. I'll do my part, even with AFib. I'll do my part, okay? As long as I'm here and able to do it, I'm gonna do this. People say, when are you gonna retire? When are you gonna quit? When are you gonna do this? Never. Okay? I have no intentions of quitting, no intentions of retiring. It'd be a lot easier if I had more help here now, you know, with all this, but anyway, y'all have met Faith if you haven't. Faith is a dear, dear, dear friend. She became part of the family. We kidnapped her for a long time. Her history is amazing history herself, her family, amazing family. Went to Africa as missionaries, and whenever she was 7, her brother was 5, loaded them up on a freighter and took them to Africa. And their dad was a missionary, dad and mother. And the parents stayed over there 35 years and became missionaries, built a Bible college, and did an amazing work over there. So Faith came back to St. Augustine, ended up back here in St. Augustine, and we were able to get her. She'll tell you how she got here. But There's another percentage. No surrounding. But, it's an incredible story. But together, she and I together, I didn't do this by myself, believe me. I'm not a detail person. She's a detail person. Together, we put together, along with my children, my family, and a friend of mine that wrote the books for me. This is the 10-10 book that we talked about, okay? If I was going to start where you are today, and this would be my plan, this would be it. I want to buy 10 houses. I want to pay for them in 10 years, and I want to retire with $10,000 a month income. Or maybe I want to buy 20. We got a guy that's bought and sold 800, okay? It took the training with us. It started with us. He's bought and sold over 800. He owns 130 or 40 houses that he rents out. All right. Now, he started with absolutely nothing. I would have to drive and meet him at 210 truck stop and give him gas money so he could go out and work these leads. But these leads that Faith is going to share with you today are exactly what we're talking about. They would do the research, get the leads. We would give them to the guys in the field partner. The field partner would go out and knock on these doors and find out if the people wanted to sell. Part of the training was to teach them what to say to the people when they got there. Okay? You can't talk to a person about something if you don't know anything about it. So, anyway, this would be my plan. No matter how old you are, how young you are, it doesn't make any difference. How white you are, how black you are, how fat you are, how skinny you are, it doesn't make any difference. It just doesn't matter. See? And so, some of you that were here when we started, I want to congratulate you. You've done a marvelous job of going out and finding these vacant houses. Your job is to find the vacant houses. That's the work. You do your work, and you bring that back. And what this whole program is about is how to analyze that vacant house, okay? Now, she's going to share foreclosure leads with you, which means list pendants is recently filed. We live in an affluent county. You can hear about it on television. We got the number one school system in the whole state of Florida. It's wonderful. But there are 300 filed foreclosures in this county since November of 2018. 300. Here's what other people think. Oh, that's all in that poor butts down there. That's that poor, that's that. No, no, no. From State Road 16 north, including Ponte Vedra, we have over half of the foreclosures are being filed, but are being filed in these affluent areas, all right? What does that mean? That means that a lot of people are getting divorced, a lot of people are dying, a lot of people are borrowing more money than they can afford, that they're just overextending, all kinds of things happen. People lose their jobs. That's never going to change. My broker taught me that when I was first started in business. And thank you, Jerry. This, just to reiterate with, this is the deal killer form. This is the form. When you can fill this form out and present it to us in this fashion, then you have the proof to back it up. You have to prove it. That'll be what we're asking you to do, is prove it. Now, on those leads, you've got an A lead, B lead, C lead up in the top right-hand corner. These percentages at the bottom line of how we deal with the partner can change, obviously, but depending on the negotiation that we do with the actual investor. Now, here comes the B lead. That's the A lead we're probably trying to put together to buy that. The B lead, I'm not going to tell you we won't buy it. If we can buy it subject to the mortgage and we can buy it for very little money and something we can flip and make money and not have to, or it doesn't take so much repairs, then we might, okay? Because the ultimate might be in and out, quicker ones. Is it going to be better than a commission? Would we be smarter to list it? We got to prove that to ourselves. We don't know that until we give that a try. All right, so anyway, you didn't come here to listen to me today. You came to meet Ms. Faith Semino and learn from the best. And so here's what we want you to do. If you're serious about this, be here every time we have a training. Whatever you have to do to change the schedule, just be here. Because the stepped process is essential to it. You miss one part of it and you didn't learn. So now you got a hole in, so you're gonna bring you a screwy deal because you weren't here and you didn't learn, okay? And so, I can't cover that. Now, my good friend Mac over here, he may be an exception, you know. So,
I'll keep them in mind.
okay, we started here. I gave everybody, the first day we started, a deal killer form. They call it our ROI form, return on investment. Let me talk to you 1 minute about the time use of money. Here's what everybody needs to know, and we have a banker with us, and she shared with us one day. Everybody wants a return on their investment. So when you go down to the bank and you put the money in the bank and you're getting 1.5% or whatever it is that the bank's paying, that's 1.5% simple interest that you're getting on your money, all right? That's all it is, all right? Now, so if you had $100,000 and you invested for 1.5%, you'd make $1,500 for having $100,000 in the bank for a whole year. You'd make $1,500 for a whole year, divided by 12, okay? Now, you take that same $100,000 and you invest it in a house with us. You become an investor and you put it up, and that's to buy and fix and sell everything. And we say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, we're going to pay you 6% interest fixed, all right? And that's better than the bank. And in addition to that, we're going to pay you 30% of the profit. Sounds pretty good, huh? Now, this 30% of the profit is now, based on the $20,000 net profit, is $6,000. Now they made $6,000, plus they made 6% for that time. But hey, Terry, this only took 6 months. How do you figure that? Now you're really escalating the ROI, the return on investment. So we're going to take the same money and attempt, not a guarantee, not a warranty, turn that money twice a year. Now your return on investment blows off the top scale, all right? That is what attracts your investors. Are you with it? It's the form, guys. It's the return on investment. What is the return on the investment? Here's the money. What's the ROI? What is the annual return? What is the APR? All right, what are you learning? What are you really getting out of this? What are you presenting to an investor? Investor says, my money's safe in the bank. We have to prove that we can make their money safe in this, okay? And if we can't prove that, the first time we don't do what we say, that'll be the end of that relationship with that investor. We don't congregate people's money. The money is taken on a deal-by-deal basis and placed in either an escrow in trust, or they can keep the money and pay the bills as we go. We got some investors do that, and we actually like that, frankly. If they'll do it on time. We got one investor, he writes a check as soon as the guy gets through, the other one I can't get in touch with him for 3 weeks. That's not fun, okay? So different personalities that you'll deal with in this. So bottom line is, people that's got that kind of money didn't get it easy. They saved it from some source, but they were returned. Everybody's shopping around, what can I do to get the maximum return on my investment? All right? One thing I want y'all to do, Jerry, is if you got one, is to get one of the sign-in sheets and everybody go around and give us your email address. All right? Everybody, I'm talking about everybody in the room. Here's why. This is your group will get an email from us the next training, all right? That's what I don't want you to miss. Are you with me? All right. Now, so, bottom line is, it's a money-making business opportunity. That's what it is. We're introducing you for you to create a business opportunity for yourself. You can do it in conjunction with us. Eventually, you'll learn to do it on your own, and you may not want to do it with us, and it's a free country, you do whatever you want to do. But until you learn, don't do it, all right? Do not do it. You're going, okay. Now, they'll say I'm old school. Some of these flippers, I don't care. You know, that's what we are, that's who we are. So, Faith is going to sit up. Are you ready, Faith?
It's not on.
Huh?
It's not on.
Hey, Casey,
Yes.
will you come turn this on, please? Oh.
Come on, Techie.
Yeah, fine again.
All
right, what do we need?
I know.
TV? Yeah.
Just turn it up, just get it going.
Faith, are you on HDMI? Okay.
we want this to be fun for you guys, but we want you also to learn this. You gotta do something for it. It's not easy. Buy some, remember this.
Buy some.
Buy some, sell some. Buy some, keep some. The ones you sell will make you money, and if you spend the money, you will never be rich, okay? Buy some, sell some, buy some, keep some. The money you make, the ones you sell will make you money, and the ones you keep will make you rich.
It's usually one that I get.
Yeah. it was a
Now.
through. Jerry, can you scoot that?
Yeah. So I want that to resonate with you today. I want that to resonate with you, because if you have that, and that's a minimum plan,
There it is.
Pretty. Is that one of your properties, Terry?
so what I'm saying to you is, we have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. If you do this without a plan, you're just kidding yourself. All right, we teach a course called the 40-30-10-10-10 plan. Any of you that hadn't seen that, we're gonna teach it. I want you to get it, because if you'll get it and practice it, teach it to your children, I realized from that nobody in this life has to be broke. Okay? What did you say? Nobody in this life has to be broke. The reason they're broke is how they handle the money. No matter how much or how little you get. My dad told me a long time ago, I was doing real good in my 20s. Terry, it's not how much money you make, son, it's how much you save. I thought that was the dumbest statement I ever heard. Why don't you go out and just make another deal? Come on, Dad, let me show you how to do this. A few recessions later, my dad was the smartest guy. Anyway, folks, this is Faith Semino, and she's going to show you how to do what she does. We noticed a long time ago that Faith would sit at the computer and not say a word for hours and hours and hours. And what she was doing was teaching herself this business.
I have a lot of that.
Once a lawsuit is filed, it becomes a matter of public record. Your name's plastered all over everywhere. It's never going to come down. It's going to stay there forever. And because it's a chronological history of that property and of yourself. So while she's getting started here, I want to make sure that you understand what I just said. If you have a plan, and you don't read this book, and I give you this book cost me $15 to copy, and I give it to you, and you do nothing with it, you're wasting your time and money, okay? And that is unfair, and I just don't want it, So I'm asking you to make a plan. Your plan is your plan, and I can't dictate that to you. I can only give you guides and ideas. And so, you ride by a vacant house. I jump on my phone and I look it up on the property appraisal sheet, and I can tell who owns it. I can tell if there's an LP. I can tell what's going on with that property. And then Faith could do the same thing. And she could tell me how much is owed on it. She could tell me what the foreclosure suit says. She could tell me what the docket is. She could tell me all about it. Yes, ma'am.
You can tell just by putting the address in, it'll give you all that information. Is that what you just put the address in?
We put the address into the property. That's one way to do it, yes, and that tells us who owns it, okay? We can look immediately and tell who owns it. Who owns it's a critical thing,
Okay.
okay? So, can you take one, Faith? Just pull up one. Now, give her an address of one of your leads, okay? It doesn't matter, any lead that y'all have, like, any of the leads that
We
you
need to
have,
bring our lead list.
yeah?
I got two.
Oh, you got two?
Got two. 840,
This St. John's Town.
yeah, Duval Street.
Say it again, please.
840 Duval.
Okay, see now she's on that sheet of the property appraiser. Now she's searching by location address. If you knew the owner's name, you could search by the owner's name, but now, because of the location address, she can search that.
Tell me it again.
No,
What was the
Trying to do it
address?
by memory.
One of those I gave you, Jerry. Is Jerry back
840
there?
Duval, is that what you said?
Yeah, I said 840, but now maybe it's,
Okay, another way to do it is,
Just take one of your foreclosures. please. All I'm telling you is the information's available when you find the address of a property. Why do I ask you to find vacant houses? You gotta have an inventory, you gotta have a start, you have to have a place to go. Vacant house means something's wrong, something's going on. If it's sitting there vacant, the weeds are grown up, something is definitely
What is it?
wrong.
941 Northwoods.
If y'all can see better if I turn that light out, I'll turn the light out.
I can get it if you want, Mr. Pursuit.
Turn it out and let's see. Yes, does it affect you, Pete? Turn it out and let's see. Some of y'all in the back, if you want to tighten up because I want you to see this, okay? Y'all can pull your chairs forward if you want to, and
Right, so then 850 Duval Street.
850,
she's got one up now, let's look at this.
850.
The one you sent me was 850.
All right? Faith, go through the form of
okay. List the parcel ID, and those are unique to the property. Got the address of the property, the location, part of the legal description, what the property use is, and the subdivision. They tell you don't use this legal description on legal documents, and what that means is if you were gonna do a deed or a listing or some kind of a contract, you wouldn't use this one particularly. Okay, the owner's name and mailing address. That this DEC''D means she's deceased.
Now, right off the hand, that's possibly a very good lead, okay? And the reason for that is, unless somebody else is, some member of the family is gonna live in that house is going to get sold, okay? But here's another thing. There are a lot of people in Florida that are dying on a regular basis that have no heirs, okay? These properties get lost in the shuffle. So they'll end up foreclosing. It's gonna go back to the lender, whoever, most of the time it's a bank or lending institution. So anyway,
Okay.
that's great information. We know the owner is dead.
Okay, usually what I do is I check the map too to see what the property, where it is more particularly in relation to, it helps Terry if he's out in the field, get a fix on it without driving all over the place. This site also will tell you things like the address number, the parcel account number, the dimensions of the lot.
Very important. Dimensions are very important.
You have to get in close though to see it.
She's showing you the site now, the things that the site will do for you, all right?
And if you click off on these things, like if you click off on the aerial, you can see the dimensions better there. Okay, subdivisions, this is helpful too, to help you know where you're at. Flood map, that's another one.
Real important stuff,
And when you get the flood map up, if you look here, it'll tell you what the color is coded to. There's a lot of property that's underwater in the area, in case you didn't know that. It helps to know whether or not you want to put your money in it. Ask Terry about that, how many loads of dirt? Okay. Okay, and down here is where there's, information about, the, structure on the property. The year it was built, the, air-conditioned area, some about the, construction. More details here.
Can you go back up, page, about the addresses to the property and if the address is different, okay? Location address is the address where the property is. Now, if the people don't live in the address, it'll be another address. That's a red flag. All right, that means that they're unattached, that the foreclosure's gonna go through. If nobody buys it or don't reinstate it, that means that possibly it's a divorce, anything, can mean anything. But the saddest part of all this is to see some little kids' clothes and stuff in a house, and you know, it's just I'm glad to see them move, frankly. I'm glad to see them not there. I'm glad to see them are not really interested in the house anymore, especially if Louise has grown up and nobody lives in it. They're not renting it out, they're not collecting any money out of it. I mean, what's going on with the house? What is going on? That's why the field partner is so such an integral part of what we're talking about. I don't have time to do all that, okay? You gotta go to that door, knock on the door, go to the neighbors, knock on the door, and find out who to contact. Do you know who to contact about this house, okay? Neighbors know everything, I'm telling you, they'll enlighten
I
you.
spoke to the neighbor on this one.
Okay, but here's, this is the one that's dead?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, but remember that, look at that, address of the property such and such, where does the tax bill get mailed to? All right, where does it get mailed to?
Well, the tax bill is a different thing. The way they explained it to me was it goes through the clerk of the court, then it goes to the property appraiser, and at a certain point in time it goes to the tax collector. But I always go to check the address on the tax bill, because the county's gonna be after the money, so they're gonna be more up to date about where people
She
are.
just switched over and went to the tax collector, from the property appraiser to the tax collector.
It's here, these things are live links, okay? So if you go here and check here, and this address sometimes is different than that mailing address on the property appraiser. So then you can see what kind of exemptions there are. She had homestead on it. So she was living there. And the taxes have been paid. That's
Excuse me.
sometimes another clue.
That doesn't mean a dead person paid the taxes, it means that,
Oh, yeah,
that
true.
the mortgage company probably paid the taxes.
All right. The other information that I get from here is, this part of it down here. She had a list pendants filed on her in December of 2018,
Does it show that?
right here.
It's LP.
That is critical information, that's what we look for. Now we know that there's a lawsuit against the property, okay, from there we can find that. So, we started with an address, and now we found out there's an LP file. We found out the woman's dead, we found out the taxes are paid, we found out that it says an LP filed.
It's in my list. I recognize the name. Anyway, this Lakeview Loan Servicing has got a lot of stuff going on. Okay. This, what they call the sales information with the recording date, and they call it a sale date, does not have everything against her or against the property listed here. Okay? It's the LP, the warranty deed, quitclaim deeds. It'll say DC for death certificate. If one's been recorded, you can't see it, because that's private information. They put it up there, but you can't look at it. So I don't stop here.
So what you're saying, Faith, is that there might be some other liens against that
Yes,
that you're
ma'am.
not seeing there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And even though that there was they paid it, in 2014, they apparently paid $144,000 for it. And then again, and there was something filed well, the LP was filed in 2018, so, but in the meantime, the lady dies, right? So the property is in foreclosure now, and she'll take us to the next level and show us the foreclosure lawsuit and what that means, and how much is owed on it when they filed the foreclosure suit.
Okay, so the LP is here, right? Okay. So from this site, I get the case number.
Now you're looking at the actual lawsuit, not just the LP, right?
No, this is the
The
LP.
okay, this is the LP, then we will go to the actual lawsuit.
Right. And in here, you can see everybody that has an interest in the property is being called defendants here too.
Look at that very carefully. Here's what that tells you there. This is the defendants, okay? The person at the top is the sewer, and the one down there is the suey. So, the defendant, it's the plaintiff and the defendant. Who all are defendants in this? Not just necessarily the first mortgage, and this is why we don't go out and just buy these things. You gotta know this. So you got a first mortgage, and if there's anything else, so you see, you already can see the state of so-and-so, as state, and if there's any tax liens or anything else against it, they will be named as defendants. Now, let me caution you about something. This is really important. We're assuming that's the first mortgage, but it may not be. It doesn't have to be. That's the lis pendens, the lawsuit's being filed. The history of a property is the chronological history of it is what is recorded against that property for all these years. It can be from the time it was a piece of land, next thing you know it's divided into a subdivision, and now it's given a lot number, and it's just, so it's a process. Everything you see there happened over some period of time. So, but we had this really smart guy, he knew everything. He rushes out to the courthouse and he bids on a condo. And his mother, he used to work with us, she called me up and she was so proud of him. She said, he just bought that condo, it sold for $90,000. Boy, it's a $300,000 condo. We'd been looking at it, the research, and I said, tell him to run back and see if he can get his money because he did not buy anything, okay? He bought his second mortgage is what he bought. And now there's a first mortgage on it for $200 and some thousand. So he did not buy it for $90,000. That's why you have to understand why we can't go out and take risks with these properties. This is all part of what we have to do the research. And ultimately, we're gonna buy title insurance to make sure we're right. But basically, this research that she's showing you is you're following the chronology of that property. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the things I learned the hard way was to check the legal description. They don't necessarily, sometimes they give you a street address, but to check the legal description to make sure that you've got the right thing. People do own more than one property. So, you know, like if you can get real confused very fast. They cite the mortgage in here that they're foreclosing on. Right there at OR Book and Page, which is another way to look at things in the clerk of the court. You wanna look at the lawsuit next? Okay.
So you need the case number for the lawsuit, is that correct?
Well, you can look for it by the defendant's name,
Okay.
but it's faster and more accurate to look at it by the case number. Because, again, there's a lot of them to look through if you're gonna go there.
County sites are property appraiser site, the tax collector site, the clerk of the court site, okay? All three of those are what we use.
Okay, this is the clerk of the court site, and you go to court records and you go here.
Foreclosure in Florida is a process, so just because something's filed doesn't mean it's over, it just means it started. And so it can take, if the defendant defends it, gets a lawyer and defends it, they can drag them out for months. Or otherwise, it could go in 60, 90 days, it could go right to the courthouse steps.
I had my computer specially built, I told them what I use it for, because I keep all these windows open all the time, because I keep going back and checking myself. And you can actually swipe, copy, and paste some of that information from one site to the other, which helps you cut down on having to worry about typos, going down rabbit trails, I call it. Okay, this is the docket. And when I look at these things again, I check and make sure that I'm in the right place. You know, this is her, this is them, this is another defendant, looks like HUD, FHA loan or something, which we know we can look at. This means, they do it chronological, the most recent on the top. So,
Now what she's showing you is the chronology of the lawsuit, where it stands right now, okay?
okay, so, let's go down here and see if we can find this, okay. It was filed on the 12th of December of 2018. And the complaint, these documents you can look at, but you have to request them to make them open. If you can get like this, that means it's been opened. What they do is they email you a notification and tell you it's been opened. But this is the original complaint here. Can you see that, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's an open pending lawsuit with the process in full swing. So, you see, when she was showing you those dates, that was filed way back in 2018, and it's still going on. Some of these things can be still going on for 5 years. If there's 300 that's been filed since last November, there are thousands in the process. Literally thousands of properties in foreclosure in St. Johns County, or Fluent County, okay? Because some of them takes months and months and months. So if there was 30 filed this month, there won't be any resolution to most of those for months and months and months and months. So next month there's another 30 or whatever it is, you see. And
Okay, here's where they say what the unpaid principal balance that they're foreclosing on is.
that's a very important, that's where we're trying to get to. They owe $102,000 on the principal on it.
Plus,
Right. Now, tell me when it went into default. Does it say?
Since
Here's
May.
all the allegations of the lawsuit here, all right? So you can read those and you can determine exactly where the property stands when that lawsuit was filed. That's when it was filed, guys. Now, she showed you the docket about how to track it right on down to now. Every hearing, every motion, everything, it's gonna be right up there on that docket.
Since May of 2018.
We wanna now, in a few minutes, look at, since that person's dead, this is the one that's dead?
Yeah.
Okay. We wanna go back and see who did they serve this lawsuit on. Now, process servers can be a big help for you. So, these process servers, if you get to know them personally, some of them will help you. It's public knowledge. When a lawsuit is filed, it goes into the clerk of the court. The clerk of the court hands it off to a process server. Sometimes it's a deputy sheriff. Frequently, it's just a person that does nothing but process servers. And so, then the process starts. They have to go out and knock on that door and try to find that person to serve them. People will hide from them, they won't come to the door, you know. So there's two kinds of notices. One is an actual notice and one is a constructive notice. One is actual where they served them, where they found them and they served them. The other one is if they can't find them to serve them, they advertise it in the newspaper, which is prima facie evidence that they attempt to serve them, and that's after four times, then it's the same as if they'd served them personally.
Okay, one of the defendants, the USA on behalf of the Secretary of HUD, there's another mortgage recorded on the property, which they've cited here. And that official record book and page is different from the one that Lakeview is suing on. Okay, sometimes they'll put a copy of there it is, of the mortgage in the complaint, yeah.
The note will tell you how much the interest rate is, what the payments are, and so forth, okay? And many of them don't put the note in there, so sometimes you just have to guesstimate it.
Okay, there was the mortgage.
She found something very important on there. She says there's another mortgage on the property. So now if you bought this property and you took over this mortgage, you would also be taking over that second mortgage, okay? So, what was it? Could be a modification of it. But you have to check all that out is the point. You have to know enough about it to check it out.
Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir.
When you gave that example about the young guy that bought the condo for $90,000 and had the second mortgage, he would have had to pay that second mortgage.
He would have had to pay it first.
The first mortgage. The first
He
mortgage
bought
was
the
still
first,
active.
he bought it in auction, which was the second mortgage that was foreclosed. See?
Okay.
So the $90,000 was what he thought he paid for it. But because there's a mortgage ahead of it for $200,000, he paid $290,000 for it, okay? And so he thought he got a bargain, and
You still had a bill, right?
In that situation, it's not a second, it's just a
Good
modification
question.
years later.
Yeah.
What do you deal with? That's what they refer to.
Well, I don't try and put it together until I've got everything pulled out, okay? Because,
so what she's showing you though is the information is available, all right? Once it's filed in the public records, it's available. Now, some of these properties do not have a mortgage on them. Here's what we learned about the tax deed situation. Many of the properties that get sold for taxes do not have a mortgage on them. Did you hear that? Many of the properties that's worth money are selling for $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 for taxes, and there is no mortgage on the property. That's tax sale. That's a different thing, but I just wanted to stress that to you. So a lot of these properties are filed. Here's what we are. We're equity hunters, all right? We're equity creators. We want to know what's in it if we buy it. What is in it? What's the bottom line of that thing? Because it's going to go right there on that ROI deal killer form, okay? So all we're doing now is we're gathering some information. It's just the basic information. We're trying to see if it's worth. Where would we fit that on our sheet? Is it an A lead, B lead, C lead? We don't know yet, but right off the top of my head, until we know what the house is worth, I'm going to classify it as a way down here, probably a C lead, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it unless we looked at the CMA and got an idea of what it's worth. Yes, it's worth 250 and it shows 140. Now we're talking about a real possibility, right? Now what do we do from here? People are dead, unfortunately, you know? So what do we do? We have to find out who do we talk to? Who's the heirs? If they died without a will, in most cases is what happens. If they die without a will, these properties will go to the next heirs. So in my case, if I died, it would go directly to my wife, right? If she wasn't in the picture, it'd go directly to my children. If one of them had passed away, it'd go directly to their children. Their share would go to their children. We've got a case going on right now. We're trying to buy a house. The guy died and he left no will. He's got 2 children. And they're fighting like cats and dogs. They don't speak to each other. And we're trying to buy the property, and they want to sell it. So finally just told them, I said, you guys have to get together, or one of you need to file a petition suit and get this thing over with, okay? So they got together. They hadn't spoken to each other in years. They got together, and so we're going to be able to buy the property, all right? So that's all I'm saying. We know how much is owed on that property. We've tracked it down. We know what taxes are due. We've done that. We put everything on that ROI form. And we get done with that, we'll know it's A lead, B lead, C lead, and none of the above.
Okay, they put, and there's an assignment in here. Go here. The other thing in a case like this,
Where do you find where they were serving that? That's interesting.
here's a summons, says it was returned unserved.
Can't serve a dead person, right? So there's no heirs, obvious, for someone, nobody living in the property, then we have an issue. All right. Now, the job is, try to find out who knows about this person. Who knows about this person, if we're interested. I'm not interested till we look at this quick CMA. What is the property worth? Is it worth chasing, or is it worth pushing to the side? We had 300 that were filed in 6 months. We have 300, we have vacant houses sitting everywhere. So what are we doing? All right, we're trying to find the best of the best. We only want the best. But you don't know which one's the best until you do your research.
This is how you request the document to be opened. There's a verified, amended complaint been filed on the 20th of May. Sometimes those will show all of the costs that have accrued, including attorney fees to date and anything else that they've done on the property. I just went in there and requested it. Just put your email address in there and then they send a note saying that the document's been opened. So,
You can
They
go
won't
back and
do
look
it
at that.
today, I
So
don't
that's
think.
just because that's not up there today, you can request it and you can get access to it.
yeah. And once anybody has requested them, some of these, I think I did, but anyway, once they're open, they're open. Okay. The other thing that I do, do it this way, because I get confused. I
She's able to
search-
go back and forth with the different sites.
I go on here and I search on her name. I don't specify the document and I don't specify any dates. Sometimes you have to refine it, but this is where I go to see what the status and who all was, and if there's anything else on the property. Okay, so there's where Lakeview filed, the list pen is, clicking on these things, it makes it sort, okay? Sometimes they have a legal description, sometimes it's just this kind of stuff over here. But I like to look at this and see what else there may be on this property. This is not her, these things, because it's Cimarron. So to refine it, to put in her initial may help. Yeah. So you see what difference it makes when you get more specific. Sometimes it keeps you from finding things if you're too specific. Okay. So where is the, now it's not showing the list pendants.
See, if a property is not homestead, if it's not homestead, okay, and the person has judgments against them, it's going to attach to the homestead, attach to that property, or it may. And that's a very important consideration. That's why all of these defendants are necessary. When you see up the front where it says, the bank is suing so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, you need to know who those so-and-sos are. And it's going to talk about that in the foreclosure suit itself. every one of those is gonna recommend. So, they'll say on the first mortgage, if it's filed, if there's a second mortgage or a junior lien holder, they become junior, they're junior to that mortgage, okay? But like the guy that went out and paid you $90,000, he bought a junior lien, subject to what was above him, you see? And so that's what we're trying to prevent you from doing, is make sure you see that, because if there are other liens or judgments against her, maybe against her estate, and may attach to this house.
This is why you got, this is a good example of why you gotta be, I don't know how to say this. You've gotta be very diligent in what you're doing. This does not have the list pendants on it, so that's a red flag to me, that somehow or another they have recorded her name different ways, okay? So what I do is I go in there and I build computer files too with PDFs, but also I print stuff out. Especially if Terry's interested or one of the guys is interested in a piece of property, I start building paper files. I print this out in this chronological order so that I can see this, but then I go back up here and I do this again.
Can you see what the sales were based in that area when you get back to it, to see
Yeah,
if it's-
hold on just a second, please, Terry, because I just want to make sure that everybody understands that you got to watch yourself. Okay, so here's where the list pendants is, and they've got it filed against her with no initial as state of, okay? So then what you do is you have to go scrolling through here and then compare it with whatever else you're looking at to make sure that you've got everything there. What they're not doing, I'll tell them how to fix everything, okay? What they're not doing, which would be an enormous help, is over here where the legal description can be, or the parcel account number, that's what that PID is, parcel identification number. If they would put it there all the time, or be consistent in the way that they're entering people's names. But what happens is that a lot of times, the people that are filing the documents, mortgages and deeds and assignments and whatever else that goes against the person's name, they're not being consistent in the way they file the name, you know, so that's why I'm saying you gotta be careful, because you can go down some serious rabbit holes, okay? So, like, here's that Cimarron person again. Here she is again, okay? And see, there's no legal description over here. And there is over here. See what I'm saying? So, if Terry and the guys want to see the file on a property, I do everything, okay? All right. So, I forget where we were. Oh. Is there any questions about how to get to these sites, by the way? I don't wanna. When they give me a name or they give me a street address, this is where I go first, because this is where the parcel account number is, the address, the mailing address of the owner, you know, sometimes the condition of the person, and a starting place for here.
So you start with the property appraiser
Yeah,
page.
I do.
Okay? And then you might go to the tax.
Well,
Or
my,
tax
collector.
yeah, my track is, yeah, I go pull this, and print it out, I pull this tax bill and print it out. And then I start looking, down here to see what's going on. Okay, but again, you can't, not everything, you see, there's no mortgages here. So, when they get really serious about a piece of property, they go to the title company and tell them to do the check down on it and be prepared to write title insurance. So, this is not title insurance worthy, this is just investigation and research. Okay, here's a sketch of the property, to show you what it looks like. So, that, that mortgage is at that 3859, 1628, and then that other thing that we saw, that, yeah, the other mortgage that they cited. I pull copies of all those documents, okay, when I go into the, into this thing. And I put them in order, so I can see, in chronological order, so I can see everything that's filed, so that Terry and the guys can look at the history of the property and the history of her indebtedness in order, okay? These things are not in order here, because here's the deed and here's the mortgage, so. But I've tried to make it, doesn't sort secondarily, so. What else did you want me to go to?
Let's go back to just give us an idea of what this property's worth. We're just trying to make a basic decision. We're assuming that that's, based on what we see, that mortgage is foreclosing is probably a first. We don't know that for sure, but we think it's a first mortgage. But we're not trying to spend a week on this just to find out. We have a lot of leads we gotta go through. We're sorting that.
Okay, on the other thing on the property appraiser sheet is they do this. When the guys do it, they go into the multiple listing service with the Board of Realtors, and they do a comparative market analysis there. But not everything goes through the multiple listing service. This is the property appraiser list of what's sold in the area.
Everything goes through there.
Yeah, okay, so they've got it in chronological order already, all the way back to January of 2018, which the guys would have to, you would have to determine what your,
So if you go in 6 months out for a review, or even 90 days, this market is changing here now. We know it's changing rapidly. Everything under $200,000 is high demand, and there's very little supply. So we're looking at, objectively, we're trying to figure out where the property, is there any money in it? How marketable is it, without even looking at it yet?
Okay, so they give you square feet, which helps you, and obviously some of this is still vacant land. And this qualified, unqualified, qualified means that it's a legitimate, third-party sale. I don't know how to tell you. See, if it's unqualified, that means it was a transfer possibly between family members or, quick claim deeds or, that kind of thing, where it's not a complete sale. So,
When you see real low prices, it means it's probably a
Yeah.
lateral transfer.
Yeah,
okay, so here's one that was back in April. The year built was 2005. You just have to look at them and pick out what it is that matches close.
Well, there's one, the second one, 721 North Orange.
For $47,000, unqualified.
So that means it went between families?
Probably.
Okay. So does that mean it's good or it's bad or?
Well, that just means that they didn't charge a family member full price.
Okay.
You just click on the sale
So we're looking-
qualified, it'll bracket them. If you click on that, it should, yeah, there you go. You don't have to look at those unqualified, just look at that. Those are all the ones that were qualified.
If you establish that the property has equity in it, then the big misnomer on our thing is, what does it cost to fix it? Number one, what are you gonna buy it for? Who are you gonna buy it from? Who's gonna sell it to you? Why are they gonna sign it over to you if they're heirs? All right, we got some work to do. The work is find out who to talk to. That's the biggest job. All right, once we look at it, if you walk in and grandma kept it in pristine condition and the poor lady died, all right, all that means is that if we can lessen the number of costs to repair it, and to acquire it, and then there's no other liens or judgments. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at costs. We're looking for costs. We're looking for costs, we're looking for equity. We're looking for value, and we're looking for costs. And somewhere in there, is there an equity position for us to get involved in this deal? Deal or no deal, you know, and that's where it is.
Okay, and when Terry made reference to when you're looking for somebody to talk to in a case like this, sometimes you can, get a lead on it by the attorneys over here, either one of them. I do other kinds of searches looking for people. Sometimes you can find phone numbers, but you gotta be careful you don't go down rabbit holes with all of that, because it'll waste a lot of your time. So you gotta stay focused and you gotta be specific about who you're looking for and why you're looking for them.
So far, just with a, you know, just a minimal study here, we found out that there's a mortgage on the property, it's in foreclosure, we know where the property is. So far, they have not been able to serve anybody, which means that they don't know if there's any heirs apparently, or they would have to serve them, or try. So, if there's no response to the lawsuit, in other words, there are two defaults that goes into a lawsuit. Default number one is, there was some default to create the lawsuit. Didn't pay the mortgage payment, didn't pay the taxes, didn't pay the insurance, something caused that default. Once the lawsuit is filed, and this is a critical part of it, is you only have a certain number of days to file a response. Your response is your answer. The response time in typical case is 20 days, okay? It would be on the front page of the lawsuit. You got 20 days to file a response, file an answer. If you don't file an answer, you then you default on the foreclosure, on your right to defend yourself. That's why we say we get these things immediately, go out and knock on that door and find out, because we send out letters on all of them, or call postcards, reminding them, hey, if you don't file a response, you're waiving your right to defend yourself, or to, you know, and you're giving up a lot of legal room there. They could file the 21st day, the lawyer that's doing the foreclosure could file for summary final judgment, okay? And then that's another hearing and so forth. So they can file for it. Still doesn't mean that there's not some defense to it, but basically all I'm telling you is the chronological history of these cases is critical to the defendant's rights and what they're going to accomplish from it. They can do all kinds of things. A lot of them will file bankruptcy, they'll do whatever they can to delay it or slow it down. But agents, real estate agents in this room, let me give you a clue. 90-some% of these people, these properties are not listed for sale. You go figure. We see people go all the way out to the courthouse steps, losing equity in the property because they never even put it up for sale. Didn't defend, didn't put it up for sale, didn't try to accomplish anything out of it. What in the hell are they thinking, frankly, okay? I mean, what is that all about? So, that's what's going on. This is the only leads you need to make a fortune in this business, all right? The vacant house leads are the quickest way to get started in this business. I can't imagine anybody not riding around and finding vacant houses if they're interested in this business. Nobody, okay? And so, I'm just saying that because we have done it over and over and over and over and over. All of us can find a deal today. All of us can find a deal today. Terry said that. All of us can find a deal today. At least the start of a deal, okay? We can find something to make an offer on. We can find something to do. Now, so they didn't find anybody to serve, right, Faith? Okay. Now, here's where you need to go today. Whoever's lead this is needs to go do this today. Go to the left, to the neighbor on the left and the neighbor on the right, and you ask questions about these people.
I did. I talked.
All right. Here's another one. Go to the obituaries.
I have that.
The obituaries will tell you if there's any.
I wrote that down, is that a resource?
I just pulled her up.
Tell you if there's any.
Anybody did a write-up on
Yeah.
this?
That lady there's got 4 kids, 28 grandkids, and 31 great-grandchildren, so somebody somewhere is invested in this.
Ah.
I just pulled her obituary, did the same thing.
If she stopped making the payment a year ago and she's deceased and nobody stepped forward to this point, what makes you assume that?
What makes you what?
Assume that somebody is invested in it.
Nobody filed a response.
No, I'm saying, she hasn't made a payment in a year, she's dead. Now, one person has stepped up after all these, issues,
Why not?
court cases, you know, why not? Where are her?
Who stepped up?
Nobody
No
has.
one has. with
So she
all
has
that
all these kids
family.
and all these grandkids, why haven't anybody stepped up?
Good point.
That's,
No.
that's what we have.
Yeah, no, I know,
That's
that's my question, I can't
that's the
believe
hunt.
they wouldn't.
That's what the hunt is. Now we're gonna find out. First of all, we're gonna find out if she had some heirs. David said he looked up and she found some heirs. Well, that's what we're looking for. Now, if that's the case, you know, and like I say, the obituaries is an awful good place to go. Sometimes the death certificate, basically go to get the information from the death certificate. That's a good spot, okay? He died in St. Johns County, you can, there's a record here of it. Right, so the attorney's a good, the attorneys for the plaintiff is a good, they can't really discuss the case with you, but sometimes you can get an attorney to an attorney, all right? Have your lawyer call them up and say, you know, what do you know about this, and so forth. So, the hunt's on. We gotta make it easier than this. Easy is, go knock on the neighbors' doors, look up on the public records, find out the information that you can. We gotta find an heir, one heir, okay? If we find one heir, we may be able to find other heirs. Now, if she's got 4 heirs, got 4 children, if one of them died, then you gotta deal with that person's children, all right? So it gets real complicated. Sometimes you're better off letting them go to courthouse steps. And if you're gonna buy it, it'll wipe out a bunch of stuff, but you're gonna have other people down there bidding on it. If there's any equity in it, you're gonna, we should try to short circuit the process. And if it's a deal, do it by it now, and so that's what we're doing.
I was just gonna show you how I go looking for somebody. I use Google. And what I do is I do just a general, and that's how I get the obituaries. Oops, can't type either. Some of these sites are gonna try and charge you to get information. I remember I've looked her up. We found people and phone numbers for this woman. Whose lead was this?
I mean, I know I sent it in, but I don't know if anyone else did, I sent it in 2 months ago or whatever it was.
Well, it was in my foreclosure leads in December. Oh,
Would've been-
yeah.
Right, that's good, certainly,
Okay.
if you send in, it's,
But
that's good.
these obituaries here, like David said, it lists all these people. Any name here, and you see they've got where they live. You do the same thing again until you can find somebody with a phone number. Okay, and you just keep on, that's why I'm talking about the rabbit holes, okay? Because sometimes these things are just all dead ends. But if Terry and the guys are, and you guys are really serious about finding somebody, this is what you gotta do. And it takes a lot of time, and focus and attention and accuracy. You can't, let me see. I give you an example of a Kalamazoo, Michigan. I know people that live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, okay? So I go looking for this person in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and the next thing you know, I'm off down the rabbit trail looking for, you know, my buddies from Kalamazoo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that kind of thing. So, you can't do that, get anything done. But this right here is a good example. One of the things that I would do is I would just start with the first one. I think Charles Atkins here in St. Augustine was one of the people that I found. And this, and these Rickersons.
I know
So-
some of the Rickersons, but kids went to school with some of them.
So then you just call that gentleman and say, I'm interested in
Your mother's house?
your mom's house, or, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, and so,
Hey,
I
Charles,
understand
this
what
is
you're
Jerry
saying,
City.
Faith, I know I could get excited Googling and digging down deep. How do I know, What I'm gonna do now is gonna go home to all of the leads that I sent to you, and I'm gonna do this on these. How do I know which ones I should go down the rabbit hole for, I guess? I don't know at this point, the more I do it,
Don't go down the rabbit hole.
how far should I go until I just
Well,
say, hey?
we gotta find somebody to talk to. In this case, this person's dead, so we have to find somebody to talk to. So if we don't
So
have
you
our-
guys will do that part of the work, I don't have to worry about that.
Well, we're gonna do all this together until you learn how. I
Yeah,
mean, that's the
okay.
whole idea, is for you to learn how to do it, okay? And so, the idea is, and why I asked Faith to come today, is to teach us what we need to do. We need to do, number one, we gotta find a appraiser sheet. We find out that there's an LP file, this pendant file against the property. And then she went to the tax collector, she found out there was no taxes due on the property, which tells me that the mortgage company's paying it, she's not paying it, she's not here. But the biggest thing of all is to go to the house and see if it's vacant. Now, if one of the kids are living in the house, I mean, they may be trying to save it, salvage it, or whatever, so it may not be worth your time. Go knock on the door and tell the people, hi, my name's Terry Passetti. We are real estate investors. We buy and sell, we also are real estate brokers, and here's my card. I reiterate that over and over that, you know, we're complying with the law, disclosure. Do you have any interest in selling the property, or just, you know, we represent a group of investors that buys and sells property. Some of them are glad to make a few $1,000 and sign it over and get out of it, you know, and especially if it's sitting there vacant. So that's a real biggie. I would go find that one today and see if it's vacant.
No, it is. I've been there, I talked to the neighbor.
Yeah?
This is why I threw this one up there, because I think this was the closest to your parameters that you were looking for.
Well, could be.
Without looking, yeah, no, without doing,
Yeah.
you know,
Whether-
yeah, I'm learning more right now of the
If you can,
steps going
if you,
past it.
if you can find somebody to talk to about it, then it's worth going down the rabbit trail of learning everything. If it's not, then move on to another lead, okay? Because we'll watch it. It doesn't mean that the lead's not gonna come back up. It didn't go anywhere. The lead didn't go anywhere, we did. And you see, so while you're trying to track that one down, don't get so hung up in it that you spend hours.
Yeah, move on.
You do not want the paralysis of analysis, okay? You do not want that disease, it's bad. And we've had people that did that. They would sit there for days and hours, and after they did it a few times, and nothing happened, they didn't make any money, they were very disgruntled, the system doesn't work. No, the system does work, has worked my whole career. I figured you'd go to the funeral saint's faith and find out.
I remember doing this. Okay, so if I put Charles Atkins Jr., St. Augustine, Florida in here, it pulls up all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something here, this is her obituary again, this is Mary, right? And these people, Latrina is one of the people, see, there's more. Okay,
I
so,
believe that lady is a black lady that lived over in West Augustine. I believe that I could pick up the phone and call Pastor Nathaniel Jackson, who's a good friend of mine, he's in my book, and find out more about her, and we could find out about the heirs. So local knowledge is sometimes a very, very beneficial part of this. So, but I knew my kids went to school with some Rickardsons that played basketball, and they were fantastic, you know. That's been a long time ago, but the local part of it, the more you know it, the more you stir it, the better it gets, so you learn more.
okay, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead. You're the boss.
This, whitepages.com, they're gonna try and sell you a subscription to it. I don't ever pay for this information, because if you keep digging, you'll find it for free. Not necessarily the white pages, but, so I got stopped there. This is another one that sometimes is free, sometimes, okay. So this one gives you this kind of information here. And you have to just scroll through here until you find a likely one. But you can see what they do here is they give you other people, other names, relatives, possible relatives, sometimes future, I don't know if I found this guy or not. Sometimes they give you past addresses that give you a clue. But I cross-reference everything to verify that this is the person I'm looking for before I give these guys the phone number for them to try and call them, okay? Because I personally believe in non-offensive.
In your research, when you find numbers and you would like for me to call them with you, all you gotta do is let me know and come in here and we'll call them. I don't mind calling either. If you wanna three-way me in on a call, that's fine too. I'll do that, not a problem, all right? We want you to have the best that we can give you. I'm busy as I can be, but I can always find time sometime that we can make a call. If I could get my brother David to work, you know.
He's gone, he's not sitting there.
David's the best. If y'all can hook up with David and get David, say, David, I want you to go out and knock on these doors with me. He is absolutely fearless about it, and he'll knock on those doors, right? And so that is a key to it. The guy from Arizona I told you about, bought and sold 800 houses. Right? Since he left here, it gives us credit for training him in this very same stuff. We would give him the leads, and he would go knock on the door that day. Okay, there was no delay in him. He would just go knock on the door. And when you see his success, you realize that it all started the same thing with the same information, the same thing we're talking about today. And once you learn how to use it, you can do it.
Dr. Mary.
Yeah, I know that name.
This is a different obituary than the one that we first looked at.
Leaves of cherished memories and daughters and children.
So there's more people cited in here. Here's her pastor. Here.
What was it? Mount Moriah?
You know, there's just all kinds of, you know, that's,
Carl Flagg was the mortician. Carl Flagg's a friend of ours. He's from Palatka, okay? And Mount Moriah, Ron Stafford, he's a friend of ours, all right? That's what I'm saying. You get to look at this stuff. Ron Stafford's a pastor over at Mount Moriah Church, and we're all friends.
so you just keep looking. But I was trying to find a place where I could show you where you don't have to pay for that. Sometimes it pulls it up, sometimes you gotta keep going.
So today we've used the ROI form, the deal killer form. When you come back, we're going to start putting numbers. We're going to give you blank ones, and we're going to start putting numbers in your ROI form, because when you can do that, then you can do this business until you learn that. Okay, so we're going to teach you how to go on a site and look up we go on we get a sale, and we want to see what the seller's closing costs are. We go on Rusty Law website, and we type in the information, and it'll print out for you a good faith estimate and tell you exactly what the costs are typical in that particular case. That goes in the form, okay? So now you know now when you start on here, and you know what it costs. Once you determine what it costs to buy it, you still got a lot of blank holes in that form.
Where are we going?
Well, I think we can turn the light back on and we can all talk here for a few minutes, okay? Because here's what I want you to get out of this. And I'm asking you now not to skip classes. We are videoing it, and we can have it available for you. This is not for beginners. This is an advanced part of what we do. All right, so all we're asking you initially to do, whoever does this, you get invited back. Whoever doesn't do it, I'm sorry, but I can't invite you back because we'll have you out of sequence. Why don't I teach this for free? This is a $4,000 or $5,000 course for 40 hours. We've sold the course for years. We did it, taught it. Anybody can go out and make one deal and pay for the course. I'm not selling anything. I'm not charging you anything. I'm not doing anything except hoping to build a team of you that want to do this with us long term. Maybe after I'm gone, maybe with my family, maybe whatever, I don't know, you know. But I'm just throwing this out here for you today. This is a powerful form of presentation. If you will learn it And I put out here a few weeks ago, and we had the first session. We got over 100 leads, vacant house leads from the people. And that, you realize how strong that is? Now we gotta work the leads. The leads are yours. All right, we're not taking them, we're not working them, we're not doing anything with them. We expect you to come back and you to fill in your training so that you can do this form, all right? It's gonna take us a while, and we gotta be committed to it. But keep on sending in your leads, keep on, all right? Because you're gonna hit one hotter than another. You're gonna hit something that, so, here's what I want you to do for yourself. It's not for me, it's for yourself. I want you to make up a written plan, you don't have to share it with anybody, a written plan of what you would like this business to do for you, okay? Would you like to end up in 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever you want to do? I want you to write it down. And I want to prove to each and every one of you, this is not, it's not about who you are. It's about what you do, what you learn, and what you do. So, this is the best program, and I'm the dumbest person in the room because I didn't do it. Here's why I didn't do it. I hated the tenants. I couldn't deal with the tenants, okay? That's dumb. Hire a professional company to deal with it, right? Hire a professional company. Just let them put the money in your account every month if you can't deal with the tenants, all right? I can't. My brother David, he can't really deal with them. He's got several rentals he owns. I asked him the other day how much, well, they couldn't afford to pay this month. I said, David, David, well, you know, they got a little kid. I said, I understand, and that's why I can't do it, all right? I can't manage it, but that's why I can't, because I would do it too. So, all I'm saying is, get a plan, write it down. If you're married, talk about it with your husband, wife. Come up with a plan that you're willing to make some changes in your life about. If you're not willing to make some changes, it ain't gonna happen. It's a pipe dream. See, kidding yourself. We have an easy program, guys. Everybody today could go out and find a vacant house, knock on every vacant house door, go to the neighbors, and you could find something, you could call me up, and we'd have something to talk about. Give us something to talk about. Don't waste my time with things that don't make any sense, okay? That, I don't mean that ugly, I want to help you, but don't waste my time. The whole idea is to teach you how to cut through the chase. Let's get down to this. So, 10 houses, 10 more houses for you guys that's done it, all right? 10 more. Come in here with me, get a book, put your leads in the book. Make you up a book. Put your leads in the book, all right? Now, these are vacant house leads, so put them in the book. When you come to talk to me about it, I need to know that you did the property appraiser sheet, okay? That's in your book. I also need to know that you checked the tax collector, and that's what she was showing you. It's in the book, all right? Then, I need to know that if it has a lis pendens, you found that in the property appraisers, that you've gone to that, and you've got information about that on the clerk of the court site. Excuse me. We're going to help you perfect your approach to this, all right? So that you end up with the results that you can end up with in this. This is for real, guys and girls. I scheduled a bus tour, all right? When did I schedule it?
2 weeks from today.
Huh?
15th, I think it was. 2 weeks from
15th.
today.
All right, 15th, we meet here. I can't take anybody that doesn't register. The idea here was to take people that were either possible investors. I invited some of my friends that are investors. And I want to show you that this works. The whole idea is, I can sit up here and talk about it until my head falls off, but if we're not doing it, we're going to practice what we preach. And I want to take you and show you what we're doing. We have 20-some projects going right now, all right? You know how much money I have in those projects? I have the overhead. I have 0 money in those projects. So when you tell me, oh, I don't have the money, tell it to somebody else. All right? You gotta either establish some expertise in one part over another. Your expertise that I'm teaching you to find is to find the property and put something together so that somebody over here that we know, you know, I know, we know, might be interested in investing in that property. okay? So if we can't say we can't do it because we don't have the money, that's, my realtor friends, and I love them, I've been one for 54 years, and every once in a while I hear one of them say, oh, I got this property, it's a great deal. And I said to them, if it's a great deal, why don't you buy it? I don't have the money. But what would you pay for it if you bought it? Would you pay that much for it? It's a good deal. Folks, good deals are on that sheet, all right? Good deals aren't necessarily what something's listed for sale. Might be a bargain, some of it's a bargain, but for who? For another buyer, an end user, somebody's gonna live in it? We're not gonna live in it, we're gonna fix it, buy it, fix it, and sell it, you know? Who has a house? Who has a mortgage? Okay? Now, here's my goal. If you don't have a house, I want you to have a house. If you have a mortgage, I want you to get rid of it. If you have credit card debt, put that down, write it on your financial. Write everything down on your financial thing, all right? And Pete, do you have the 40, 30, 10, 10, 10 plan you can put up there?
Somewhere.
All right, we have a course we teach called the 40, 30, 10, 10, 10 plan, okay? You have it?
No, I didn't know
What it is everybody in this room would probably be out of balance. If you balance this, you would be on your road to major success. 40% for housing of your income. So if your income's $3,000 a month, $1,200 a month to pay your rent, to pay your utilities, to pay your food, everything that has to do with living and eating in that house, going to the bathroom, whatever, everything to do with it. 30%, the 30% is for your car, your insurance, send the kids to school, clothes, all the things, that's 30%. 10%, you gotta give it away, guys. You have to give it away. Now, many of you won't agree with that, but I can tell you this, that my mom taught me something, and I believe it. She taught me that from the time she started tithing, she was never broke again, and she worked like a slave in her life. And so when she started tithing and giving money away, 10%, she was never broke again. So her theory was you couldn't outgive God, and I believe that's true. 10%, you have to send it away. Not to buy a car, not to buy a house, not to buy anything, and long-term investment stuff. So that you now are not mixing your apples and your oranges, you're getting something for your retirement. And let me tell you, when you get 78 years old, you realize how important that is. Right? That's the most important thing that you can possibly do for yourself. You can't take it out because you're going to need a new car, and you can't take it out because you need a vacation, you can't borrow against it, you got to put it away. We have a guy that works here, there's no telling how many millions of dollars he's worth. He won't tell you, obviously, but, and he got started investing in oil stocks when he was very young. And he's kept on doing that. He bought stocks, which I'm not a stock advocate, but he's done it so successfully. But he had a plan, and he never took the money out. He said when his kids were going to college and needed money, he would take out $20,000, but he never sold the stock. He just kept on buying, and he got dividend type stocks or whatever. One day I'll get him to come teach a class about it because he knows it backwards and forwards, and it's set him up for the rest of his life. So between the real estate investment and the 10% that goes away, you can set yourself up for the rest of your life. 10% for fun. Now, when you go spend 30% for fun, you're robbing the others. You're robbing, okay? If you spend 50% on housing, you're robbing something. Look at it. Just look at the balance. See if it balances. Look at it. It's fun to watch it. 40, 30, 10, 10, 10. Okay? You only have 100% of the income. So now, if you're borrowing more, you're spending money that's got to come out of one of those categories. If it won't fit in your 40 or your 30, then you're going to take away from your retirement, you're going to take away from your tithing, you're going to take away from something. You're going to take away. It's a takeaway. So we're just asking you to start off with a financial plan. If you don't do that, I think you do like me. You go up and down, and you make jillions, and you go the other way. And, you know, that's not the right way to do it. So I can tell you what, it's not the right way to do it. And so I love you guys, and I love spending time with you, and I really appreciate you. And Faith, Thank you,
Faith.
Thanks,
Yes.
Faith.
Faith, thank you.
Yes.
If you get into a particular case and you need help, you let me know. And let's see where we go.
So what's the bus tour about?
The bus tour is, I want to take people and show them what we're doing. Is everybody on that?
Yes.
Everybody has signed in.
I didn't see
Everybody,
It was
please
right
sign
in
in.
front of you.
Everybody, please sign in.
It's right in front of you.
Yes, sir.
You still have those 10 booklet?
Yeah.
One of,
I don't have, yeah, I'll give you one. I gotta get some more printed, but yes, I'll give you one.
I don't, he needs one.
I'll give it to him. So, our idea about sharing this information is twofold for me. One is, I think together we can make more money. Okay, I think you can and I can as well. Trust me, can. I believe by teaming up, we're better off. I don't mind sharing the wealth, so to speak. I'm not a greedy person. I think that works for us. The other thing is, this is my legacy, guys. This is, I spent my entire 54-year career learning this stuff and writing these books and doing this thing, and not one of them would have happened without this lady. Okay, not one of them. So without Faith, I wouldn't have written the first book, and we wouldn't have done what we've done. So when you get people like that around you, you can make it work. So I thank you, Faith. Good job.
Thank you, Faith.
All right?
See, put this under the door.
Let's put it right
You
there.
want it here? Okay.
All right, have everybody, because your invite back is conditioned on that. Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? Did you learn anything? The main thing we learn is what we don't know, that we need to know, you know, so. I'm mighty glad to see you for a second.
As you go
Oh, everyone's coming to class.
yours, it's an hour, doing this thing.